Cities Skylines 2 is about to release, and already there have been a lot of concerns raised about the game. Will it be a carbon copy of Cities Skylines, and if so, why purchase it? And if the game has already been pushed back for console and the team have raised the minimum requirements, what state is the game in, and is Cities Skylines 2 releasing to PC too early? And we could go on to talk about Paradox mods, but we'll save it for another video. And before we start, though I have been given early access to the game, I haven't been sponsored to do any of these videos, nor will me being given early access affect my opinion of the game, other than the state that the game is currently in, which I should mention may differ from the release build next week. Now, if you're wanting to know my thoughts without the details as to why, then yes, I believe Cities Skylines 2 is worth the buy, and though it shares many characteristics of Cities Skylines, it is not a carbon copy. And to answer concerns as of the state of the game, yes, it isn't as optimized as I was expecting, and I do have some concerns about it. I'm having considerable frame drops on a relatively powerful piece of hardware. Just for reference in this video, I do have an AMD Ryzen 9 5900X with 96GB of RAM and a 3080 Ti, and my games are run from an M.2 drive. But with that in mind, let's get into the full review. But first, what is it? Cities Skylines is a city building simulator which pushes your creativity to new levels whilst you try to solve the problem of an ever-growing city and the logistics that entails. From larger populations and busy streets to the setting up of public transport and planning out the industrial districts so that they can be as profitable as possible. Now, if you do want to see a playthrough from the start, why not check out my historical Castle City Let's Play. I will post a video to that in the description below, and you can see how it plays. Now, the game feels very familiar to Cities Skylines, but at the same time very fresh. One of the biggest changes is the road laying system. It feels much more complex, which is both good because we have a lot of control over it, but at times it does feel that they've missed the mark. Most notably, we have the option to upgrade roads with various decorational features and signs, and we have the option to both add and remove things like traffic lights, stop signs, no left, straight on or right-hand turns, as well as adding and removing pedestrian crossings. Now, this does add a lot of customizability, but without the ability to actually go into the individual lanes, you still find yourself lacking the control that you really need with a growing city. And speaking of growing cities, the cities do feel very much more lived in, and perhaps this is in part due to the option to follow your citizens around, but this feels more like a small add-on to the game that doesn't really add much to the city. The zoning system is familiar, and I love the mixed residential and commercial zoning tool, which adds a different flair to parts of your city. But I still feel that the zoning could do with more work, and I find myself really struggling with it and trying to find workarounds for various placements. The ability to upgrade your buildings adds more opportunities for your growing city, and the development point system really adds to playing the game the way that you want to play it. I do find myself at odds with the industries. Now, I love the bare bones system that they have for it. It allows you to specialize in a given industry, and it allows you to incentivize that industry through tax breaks and payouts. However, this doesn't translate as well as you'd expect when it comes to the actual industry that you're building rather than the specialized one, as you still produce a wide mix of different goods, meaning if you want to dedicate an area to food production, for example, to help optimize the transportation between field to factory, you'll have to individually check each and every factory plot and destroy industry plots that aren't food plots until you find all food factories in the area. It's a little bit like trying to spawn car parks on commercial zones in CS1, and it makes the system clunky, and I'd love to see this improved. But looking over the first expansion, bridges and ports that we can expect, there will be the marine industry, so hopefully they have planned more love for the industry zoning system. Another clunky aspect of the game is the decorational tools. Currently, we're able to place a small selection of trees and bushes for decoration. I'd love to see more variation, but this will obviously come with mods and no doubt DLC further down the line. But my biggest problem is actually having to individually place trees and bushes. This is a system which could have easily been improved with drag and place options or line tools, and there were mods that you could use in CS1 to do this. And I find myself once again longing for a mod before the game's even launched, just so that I can make my cities look less empty. Now, trees are also placed as saplings, and though this isn't an issue, it does mean that it'll take a year or two in-game to see if the tree that you placed works in the given location. Also, please don't confuse my critiques here for hating the game. I'm genuinely really enjoying it. But I am nitpicking all the little things that have prevented me from enjoying the game as much as I want to. The weather is also one of those problems. A couple of times I've had cities being built with rainstorms that have lasted a year, having a single month of sunlight and then returning to the dismal settings again, which gets frustrating when you're wanting to take some nice cinematics. And yes, an on-off button would be great. I think that would be the easy solution, like we have the night and day cycle. But it looks like this isn't something that they're planning on adding, and though I can appreciate the real simulation of the world, I also want to enjoy the look of my city when it's dry. So I guess that'll be another mod that I'm waiting for. Now, I will mention one thing that I've picked up on that I really disliked in Cities Skylines was the difference between all the building icons in the menu. It just felt very mismatched to me, and that's something that has been greatly improved. Everything just seems to flow together much better in Cities Skylines 2, and that is, well, with the exception of performance, which my system really does seem to struggle with. Now, Colossal have come forwards and said that they're trying to get 30 FPS for everyone in the game, and I can confirm that I've been running mainly at 30 FPS, but quite often lower as well, regardless of what settings and screen resolution I've been using, and it stays that way even with 0 population or 10,000 population. At first I thought this was something that was happening to everyone, but having spoken with other creators, it would seem that some are getting much higher FPS with lower graphics cards and less RAM than me on the same CPU with similar size cities and similar settings. So this leads me to think that given all of my drivers are up to date, that this is something that's down to the optimization of the game. Now, FPS aside, in my total playtime I've had 2 crashes and a few minor graphical and gameplay bugs, which were promptly fixed with updates, and the team have been very vocal about what they're working on improving to us content creators, and they seem to be taking on our feedback as well and working hard to get the game to the best state possible for launch. And though yes, it's frustrating, it's not buttery smooth, it hasn't spoiled my enjoyment of the game, and I'm sure that with a few patches over the next couple of months that this will hopefully run as well as Cities Skylines does. So if you've got an older PC or you can't stand FPS dipping below 30, then possibly wait it out a little, but I feel a lot of the key issues will be smoothed out quickly. However, the base game at its heart is true to Cities Skylines and offers plenty of fun as it stands. It's certainly an improvement on Cities Skylines, and I'm sure with the regular DLC installments that we can expect, that we will have a truly bustling game that will stand on top as the best city building sim for the next 10 years, and that's without considering the amazing mods which will soon be available to the community. But it will have to push through a teething process, which may leave the less enthusiastic fans frustrated that it's been released at this early stage. But I'd love to hear what you have to say. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you do want to see more Cities Skylines 2 content, including Let's Plays and guides, make sure to subscribe. And why not check out the first episode of my Let's Play here now. Until next time, special thanks does go to all of our amazing supporters on Patreon, most notably our Solarclipse patrons James Owen, Firefless and Trebor, as well as our Lunars, The Calamity, Ben, Star and That Dude AW, as well as our Blood Moon of the day, which today is the Selchan Husky. Until next time, as always, ciao for now.